Hey, what's going on? Um, Last time we spoke, we talked about directions the channel was going to take, and I had decided what direction it was going to take. I just hadn't gotten around to coming back and making a video about it. It's just a matter of trying to make a schedule. Um, when I had started podcasting, I had left uh, my job, and I had started a practice for myself. So I had a lot of flexibility to do live streams and podcasts and stuff like that. But I had returned to the corporate world, so my schedule is a lot more limited. And the camera went out. Let me figure out what's wrong with it. But I'll keep talking. You don't need to see my mug to hear what I'm talking about. In the meantime, let's try to fix this camera as I'm talking. Oh yeah, there we go. But yeah, I mean the answer was kind of obvious. It was right in front of me. I didn't really think about it. But the easiest way is to make it a reaction channel. Um, I mean, first off, a reaction channel is the easiest type of content to create that still has value. By the way, this office is messy. Excuse me, but um, I'm in the middle of cleaning my apartment, and it's I kind of wanted to uh, live stream, so I just said screw it. I'll live stream in a dirty office. Hey, what's up, Revolution? Yeah, but yeah, I think the easiest thing to do is just make this a reaction channel. I think it's first off, it's something that you can't really do in podcast format because there's a visual component to it. When you try to react to stuff on podcast, which sometimes I end up doing, I just gotta take time to say for people who can't see, which is everybody, this is happening on stage, and that solves that. It's very easy to be topical. It's a way to do something that you can't do in the podcast, and the last one was pretty well received. That hate baiting one, the last one we did, people really seem to like it. So in addition to being easy to do, it was well received. So yeah, I mean, probably gonna change the whole name of the channel just to like Champagne Sharks reactions, and that's the kind of thing. Like I feel like um the most important thing to do with live streaming, any of this stuff, is consistency and trying to find things to do that were redundant of the podcast to do on the stream was just kind of tough. And I was like, to do it, to continue to do it, I have to actually make something unique. So to the people who suggested it, because there was several people suggested just do more reactions like what you did last time, that hate baiting episode. I was like, it's a good one. Um, Sometimes the answer is so simple, you kind of miss it. But we just released a podcast episode. Go to Champagne Sharks in your podcast clients to find it. Or just go to patreon.com/champagne sharks and sign up for $5 a month or $54 for the year. You can prepay the whole year and you'll be able to see it. Or better yet, hear it. But I gotta say, I have never ever done a 180 on a podcast opinion as fast as I have done on that podcast. In fact, I would say before it even came out, like the day it came out, I had already changed my mind on it. And what I had said in the podcast episode is that I think Kamala Harris has a real chance. Like the Democrats have gone from having no chance to a chance. Like I don't think online enthusiasm is enough. I don't. Like um I don't think going viral is enough or anything, but I do think it's a good start. Like at the end of the day, you're gonna have to go into battleground states. You're gonna have to have a ground game. You're gonna have to have grassroots. You're gonna have to do real politics. Like I don't think just having enthusiasm and early mobilization and early buzz is going to be enough. But I thought she had a chance, but um I changed my mind a lot in the past couple of days just because the Democrats have gone so bipolar. They've gone from near suicidal. Like, I'm gonna say something that's probably not, popular, but I didn't think Biden did so bad in that debate. I mean, he flubbed words. He did a lot of, little messed up stuff or whatever. But if you actually listen to the points he made, I mean, the bar was so low for me. I just thought he was gonna shit himself. Like the fact that he didn't crap himself, like I was impressed, But I think from the regular public, the DNC and the liberal mainstream media hid his dementia so bad, so thoroughly that it was really shocking to people who weren't paying attention or who took at face value that any mention of his dementia was right wing lies. So to people like that, I understand how shocking it was. But for someone who's been looking at his gaffes for years, even before the 2020 election, I thought he did better than I expected. Like you kind of just have to do like some mental math. Like my dad had dementia before he died, R.I.P. And he a lot of times he would have lucid thoughts, but he would get words wrong. And he just learned to kind of through context clues figure out what he was trying to say. But he made sense more times than you would think once you just figured out what he actually meant to be referring to or what name he meant to say. And that's how I kind of felt about Biden. Like, is that the optimal mental state for a candidate? No. I mean, I'd rather have no dementia, but I mean, he could have been a lot worse, honestly, based on what I had seen him do. I've seen him stare off the stage. I've seen him give out his hand to people who weren't there, and the handlers had to come rush out and get him. I've seen him say crazy things. Like, it could have been worse, but my feeling was the DNC was basically committing elder abuse. They were basically carting out this walking corpse, this zombie, and forcing him to run because a bunch of black boomers who loved Obama just came out for him in South Carolina during the primaries. And they were like, listen, the Negroes will vote for this corpse. We have to weaken at Bernie's the hell out of this corpse, no matter what. And they ran that poor demented man against all common sense and then gaslit America up until a week before the elections. And then when it just got too bad to gaslight anymore and they had maybe an alternate plan, they just threw this dude under the bus. And I'm like, dance with the person who brought you. Like, y'all lied and gaslit this long. Just write it out. Like, why are you throwing this dude under the bus now? I really think he did have a chance, believe it or not. Like, it would have been not the best chance, but I think he would have had a chance. But they threw him under the bus so hard there was no way they could have kept him, to be honest. Because if they tried to keep running him after everybody turned on him, it wouldn't be convincing. Like after Van Jones and everybody just throws you under the bus, how are they gonna go back and say, you know what? I think we jumped the gun. He's great. Like they kind of backed him into a corner. He had to be thrown under the bus. But in a weird way, in a in a weird way, I think I'd respect them more if they shill to the end. Like I already couldn't respect these people because they were shills, but at least I could respect them as shills. Like they were at least dedicated to shilling. But now it's like I can't respect you in any way. Like you have no allegiance, no belief, no loyalty to anything. I mean, you're too much of shills to be trusted with anything serious or objective. But you guys aren't even loyal to shilling. Like, you guys are just total opportunists, man. Like, it's I didn't think I could respect these people any less. Like, it's almost impressive. Like, I didn't realize until he did this that I at least respected them as shills, and now I realize I can't even respect them as that. Like, even criminals have to have some kind of loyalty to each other. Like, if there's no honor among thieves, then you're just really useless. You're just really. I can't leave my stuff around you, and I can't run a heist with you. Like, you're just useless. Um, but anyway, if you listen to the last episode, like, I was really kind of on board with, like, I think they stumbled onto a policy and a candidate that might actually win against all odds. But I'm gonna do a podcast episode on this. I'm gonna get into it deeper, so I'm not gonna get into it too deep this time. But a big problem for me with all this is, how do I put this? A big problem for me with all this is that they've gone from being suicidal to super cocky. And this is what somebody in the Discord said after the episode. He's like, I wouldn't get too excited because in 2016, the same thing happened. And it was a very simple point. It was a listener, B. Scott, he said it, but it was a very good point that was kind of obvious when he said it. I'm like, in 2016 with Hillary, it was considered a done deal. Like, right now, everybody's celebrating about JD Vance and the couch jokes. And I think the couch jokes are so stupid. I think they're the dumbest thing on earth. Like, what is the point of making fun of somebody for something that they didn't do? But not just something they didn't do, but nobody believes he did. Like, I know lying in politics and making jokes about things can be a devastating tactic. I'm not saying that, something has to be honest to be a good um tactic, but like the Howard Dean scream, in context, it wasn't that bad. They chopped the scream up, they made him sound crazy. When you see the whole thing in context, you're like, damn, they did my boy dirty. That was kind of fucked up. But it worked. Like, joking about a lie can work. I'm not naive. But what's the point of joking about something that nobody actually believes? And then beating that joke into the ground. Like, there's this kind of way with people online where you get. I used to say that being online was bad because it was all about affirmation, and everything ends up becoming geared toward affirmation. And people just filter out anything they don't like and just amplify anything they do like, and you create a bubble and you lose context and contact with the outside world, and you don't know. And that's kind of what happened in 2016. Like, these Democrats are so fragile. They always block anyone who disagrees with them. They always pride themselves on not looking what, you know, the bad guys are doing or whatever. And they create these kind of echo chambers and bubbles. And up until the day of the election, and all these supposed experts, Nate Silver and 538, the supposed wonderkind of stats and predictions and polling, New York Times, internal intelligence, all these people, up until the day of the election, they were calling everything for Hillary overwhelmingly. Like, the morning of was like 98%. Supposedly, all this Trump stuff was killing him, grabbing by the pussy. It was done. Same way, like, people are saying, oh, Vance is toast. And people are like, oh, both sides believe Vance is toast. The right wing, like Ben Shapiro, and people on the left, even though they all were for him last week. And I'm like, that's not both sides. They're Democrat and Republican, but they're part of one side. media brain addled brain rot Twitter. Like they're all part of the same encampment. Like Twitter is its own universe. And I want y'all to think about something. What have memes ever done in the real world? Ever. The first thing that I can really think of that really believe, this internet has real potential for selling shit was Snake on the Plains. Remember Snake on the Plains? Snake on the Plains was one of the first things that was designed to go viral. It was bad on purpose. And everyone was like, they had this great idea. Let's make a trailer that's like bad on purpose that everyone's gonna retweet or reshare or blog about to dunk on. It's gonna lead to a lot of money. You know what happened? People blog. Twitter was around, I believe, in its early stages, but if not, whatever else was around. People make MySpace jokes, they'll make Facebook jokes, they'll do whatever was around. And you know what? It went super viral and no one went to see the shit. All they did was just make jokes and amuse themselves. And what I was gonna say is like there's I first thought like it was all about affirmation, but that's not really what the internet and social media creates. The internet and social media, affirmation is only one part, but there's two other parts. FOMO, instant reaction. Like you can't be left out. Whatever's happening, everybody like there's 500,000 couch jokes over the last couple of days, and it's like everybody has to rack their brain and add their own to the mix, even if it has nothing new to say. Like it has to be beaten to the ground. Like you might as well kill yourself if you do not get your couch joke off um in time. Like you may have nothing to say about it, you may have nothing new to add to it or whatever, but it's like you almost feel this pressure. And when I was on Twitter, I kind of felt that pressure to a degree, but after a while, I made it easier on myself by telling myself, you know what? I don't have to weigh in on everything. Some things I just don't care about. I don't have to pretend to care about stuff, or I don't have to get in a joke on this topic. Like Kamala's Brett. Like, not everyone's gonna talk about Brett. Like if you're over like 30, 40, who cares? What are you talking about Brett for? Like it's stupid. There's just a new name for everything every uh couple of months, and they all mean the same thing. I'm the best and I'm sassy. Like Brat, City Girl, Soft Girl Error, um, City Boys. Like people just find a new way to rename something and say it's them. And this new movement is really me, and it means I'm awesome. And now it's Brett, and now I got to do 100 think pieces about Brett, and it's I mean, which leads to the third thing that I think the internet creates, and that's consensus or conformity. Like it makes everything really conforming. Like it punishes um deviation to like a big degree. And the way I knew it wasn't really about affirmation anymore, right? Like if the main thing about the internet was just affirmation, then those kind of weirdo stands and chills and like Marvel type people, for example, they would be happy with a 99% positive critic ratings for their movies, right? Like if all I wanted for the internet was affirmation, like the new Deadpool and Wolverine comes out, I'll just look at all the shill reviewers. I'll find 1,000 people who say this movie is the best. I'll go on YouTube and find all these shill channels breaking down the 1,001 Easter eggs. But what then I know is these people aren't like that. What they'll do is they can they're sore winners. They can have 99% of the media in their favor, and that they'll find that one critic who said, "I think this is just a commercialistic, um, empty, vapid exercise in mediocrity," and they'll obsess with that person. They'll flood their mentions. They'll be like, "I guess you hate having fun. I bet you're a lot of fun at parties. Shh, let people enjoy things." Like somehow, the things that they say, you not liking this movie somehow is keeping me from having fun. It's keeping me from enjoying the movie. Like they need that last 1% to buy into it. And that's when I realized it's not really about affirmation. Because if you want affirmation, you have 99% of the world on your side. You need conformity. You have to stomp out dissent. For whatever reason, we need 100% of people in line. Um, which again leads to how these people are acting about Kamala online. Like everybody's gotta make the same joke. Everybody's gotta do the same corny line. Like everyone has to pretend that everything's on the ropes, and you create this alternate reality. Like so they're doing it all over again. Like all these articles coming out. Uh, Kamala is one Gen Z with memes. TikTokers love her, and these coconut tree memes are doing well. And all the article writers and all the editors are all Twitter brain people themselves. So they're reporting on themselves. They're on there just affirming each other in themselves, doing this FOMO instant reaction to everything, every narrative. They just got to jump into it. Then they all got to be on the same page. So they all get the conformity. Then they go to the publications, then write articles about what they themselves and their friends were doing on Twitter, and they report in a weird way about themselves. Like when the New York Magazine writes about what people on Twitter were doing for Kamala. If you look up that article writer's name, you'll find they were doing the same thing on Twitter themselves. Like it's it's like an Ouroboros. It's like a tail that eats. It's like a snake that eats its own tail. But okay, snakes on the plane. No one went to see it. Um, Kamala was. I mean, Hillary was supposedly killing it online. She was running the memes. Um, Everyone was looking at her as their uncool but lovable grandma, whatever. And then when and Trump was Donald Trump, and everyone was replaying John Oliver mocking him and grab her by the pussy and all his gaffes, and he was a big joke until the time came and no one voted for Hillary. Like no one gives a fuck. Twitter's so small. It's not even as a social media platform. It's like horribly small, and it's such a stranglehold on the perceptions of the world by the media. Um. So yeah, it's like there's a New York Magazine cover that came out with Kamala on it. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it just looks freaking insane. Um Let me show you. Y'all have to see this thing. But I saw this today. Also, feel free to donate to super chats and whatever else. Hit us up on Patreon, subscribe. Champagne Sharks on Venmo or Cash App. Champagne Sharks at PayPal, but most importantly, just like, follow, subscribe. Affirm me by like, following, and subscribing. You don't want to miss out. You don't want to not be part of the consensus that is liking and following and subscribing. But look at this. These people went from suicidal to already gloating. It's freaking insane, and apparently Charlie XCS is featured too. And when I saw this, I'm like, they're gonna mess this up. And the show Broad City announced they're gonna do a Kamala episode. The show is actually canceled. The show is canceled, and they're bringing back a special episode. And do you know who else got a Broad City episode for their campaign? Hillary Clinton. Um, they've got their dunking talking points. That right now it's couches and dolphins and other stuff. But there's so many valid things to get on. Like, think about how crazy things are right now, right? everything is so geared toward memes and pushing stuff out of your mind and having everything be ephemeral. We had a presidential candidate almost die a couple weeks ago. Like think about it. They showed the angle. If he didn't turn his head at the last second, the bullet would have went through his brain from here out the back. Like, do you know how life changing, history changing that would have been to live through? How insane? Like the chances of that causing some kind of civil war could have been very real, and it's forgotten. Like the stupid couches. That again, I don't understand why it's supposed to be so devastating if nobody, the people making the jokes don't believe he fucked the couches. His base doesn't believe he fucked the couches. Swing voters don't believe he fucked the couches, and the people making the jokes know that no one else believes it, but just the fact that it amuses themselves. Like there's this thing people doing now where they create headcanon. They just are arguing the headcanon like you forgot you created the headcanon, and then you congratulate yourself for the headcanon. It happens in a lot of different examples. I'm gonna do an episode about this new headcanon way of arguing about things. But yeah, like the couches have stayed in the public mind and discussion and those dumb jokes, then the fact that he almost died, like that's how unserious and constantly in love with the new and funny. Like Neil Postman had this book called Amusing Ourselves to Death, and it was about um everything has to be entertaining now in the age of TV. Um Even if it's educational, whatever, no one wants to deal with anything that's not entertaining. So he gives examples of how presidential debates used to be, and these used to be hours long and very dry and academic, and regular people would sit there riveted. But in the age of TV and the ruined attention span, they have to be very quick moving and move around. It's a very interesting book, but it basically is like everything. So like Sesame Street, like you had to educate kids. You have to make it colorful, entertaining, but adults are the same way. Like the biggest crime is to be bored, but I feel like something has evolved from that where it's not enough to be entertaining. The specific entertainment that everything has to be. There's an addiction to jokes and memes. Everything has to become a joke or meme. And I just think the assassination just didn't have great memes at the end of the day. Yeah, I totally agree with this. This is like a better thing to make fun of Vance for instead of the stupid couch. Like every minute you spend making fun of him for the couch thing is a minute you're not spending making fun of him for something actually substantial, you know? Yeah, you're not missing anything. You're not missing anything. Uh yeah, but I mean, I don't understand any of it. I I don't understand the point of any of this stupid stuff, but yeah, they're doing everything the same. I'm waiting for Charlemagne and Lena Dunham to make a rap video about Kamala. People talking about the memes, um, memes. Okay, so Morbius came out in the theaters. It flopped. Then it exploded in memes and became a huge meme sensation. And I'm sure you guys know the story. What did they do? They put Morbius back in the theaters and it flopped. People who are obsessed with the meme life don't leave their house and they don't deal with the real world. They just do things to make themselves laugh. And that's pretty much it. Uh we did not know that Biden didn't crap himself. That's very true. No, that's true because this time around, even a lot of online leftists are being the online leftists have ironied themselves into becoming unironic Kamala supporters. I think they started with the coconut tree memes on purpose. Ironically, and they forgot it was supposed to be ironic. Reagan's attempt was not a bigger thing, I think, even though it was a much bigger thing than the Trump thing. Um, because from what I read, I've read biographies of Reagan. The average person doesn't really realize how close he came to dying. They hit it very well. I don't even know if people to this day really understand on average how close he came to dying. I only know because I used to read books on presidents and I used to know about Reagan, but they said he came really close to dying. But I think a lot of people just thought like he got shot and it wasn't that bad. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I think the Democrats are gonna mess this up. I think instead of just doing serious grassroots ground game organizing and campaigning and working the swing states and doing 2 states a day and all that stuff, I think they're just gonna start trying to meme it across the finish line. Yeah, it's bizarre. I so yeah, if you listen to the last episode that came out, I was like, man, I think the Democrats got this, and I think for a split moment they did. It wasn't going to be easy. They would have still had to do real politics, but I think they caught a break. And someone else made a very good point in our Discord. I can't take credit for this one. This is a very good one, but he said, I also blame RussiaGate because RussiaGate in 2016 gave the Democrats an external thing to blame to let them think, you know what, we were going to win it. It wasn't our imagination. It was nothing we did. It's the Russians and maybe the Chinese too that interfered and fucked it up. But this time we're ready for them. So now we can really relitigate and redo the whole thing. And this time it's going to work because we are ready for Russia and everybody knows about them now. So they were able to not learn from that mistake by having something external to blame. But all the blaming black men stuff has happened again. All the um, weird identity politics and ex Hillary people coming out. Um, yeah, it's it's interesting. But yeah, New York Magazine used to be a very good culture magazine. I think they should just called it Twitter Brain Rot Daily at this point, or weekly, whatever it is, because that's all it does. It's just basically a digest for Twitter now. Um, and like normal people, Twitter's created a world for metprogs. That's like short for metropolitan progressives. Like people say like we're trying to say cultural elites, but I didn't really like that because that implies everybody is somehow elite. But is a barista with blue hair and a shaved head and like 5 roommates, is she like actually elite, or an adjunct professor or whatever? So instead, like I'd be saying metropolitan progressives or metprogs for short, but a particular kind of person that reads New York Magazine and is on Twitter all day and you know follows media beefs the way some people follow sports. That kind of person has so dominated the media perspective. But I'll give you an example. Like if you used to watch Saturday Night Live in the 90s, Saturday Night Live wasn't just media inside baseball or like what northeastern metprogs or Pacific Northwest metprogs were talking about today. That bubbled up from Twitter. Like it had to be very mainstream. There was no internet, and you had to make a joke that someone in Idaho could get as easy as someone in New York. Now, if you watch something like New York Magazine, it's like it's sourced. It's just like I'm sorry. If you watch something like Saturday Night Live, I'm gonna say Saturday Night Live. I don't know if I said New York Magazine, but Saturday Night Live used to have to be easy to understand for everybody. For some people in Idaho, whatever. So if you watch that old Adam Sandler, Chris Farley, Eddie Murphy, Joe Piscopo, Billy Crystal years, there was always this way in which it had to be very relatable to everybody. But now Saturday Night Live is very much an extension of New York Magazine and Twitter topics. It's like I watch it, I'm like, can somebody who's not on Twitter or who doesn't live in New York, can they understand this? Um, yeah, and I just think that's a big problem. Like, why they got so blindsided about how Hillary lost? Because um, they don't know how to see those people anymore. And when they do see them, they block and mute them because that's what you do now. You don't have to be exposed to any like. Do you think anybody in 2016 watched the Trump rally? There was one reporter I remember who made his job to go to Trump rallies, and I remember him because he was the only one who was writing like during 2016. Hey guys, I think we're underestimating this thing. I keep going to this thing, and I go to Hillary rallies too, and the enthusiasm gap is insanely different in real world on the ground. And people just kind of hand waved them away. And he got like 15 minutes of fame after Trump won. Like people kind of went back to him and called him like a genius, but um, they're repeating the exact same thing all over again. I'm kind of curious what states of the battleground states and all those states Kamala is supposed to flip exactly. I mean, a lot of Biden's success against Trump came about because he was able to appeal to some white states that were in the mix, and his kind of old school white guy ways and patrician ways, I guess, maybe help with that. And I'm not saying Kamala can't do it, but you got to show me the proof. Like 500 phone calls, group phone calls with like white dudes for Kamala, white women for Kamala, black LGBTQ for Kamala, black men for Kamala, black women for Kamala. Like that's not really selling me. Like you're just getting the converted. Like telling me that the AKAs are going to vote for her is not selling me. Like the AKAs are going to vote for a Democrat regardless. Like I don't know, but all the anyway, I'm going to show you guys something. Guys said it's going to be a reaction channel now, so let's see. I'm going to show you guys something because this is another thing that when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, they're ready to lose. Okay, hold on. Yeah, they definitely did him dirty for that Dean scream. So check this out. Tell me if you can hear the sound.
Just in the past few days, Democrats have kind of
Yeah, okay, I don't think that's working. Hold on.
organically settled.
Okay, something weird is happening. Just give me a second. The sound is coming out loud instead of in my earphones, which let me check something. Just give me a second. I got to figure out why it's coming out from the speakers and not. Were you guys able to hear? Oh, you guys did hear it? Okay, in that case, never mind. It's playing out loud, but if you guys can hear it, then that's fine. So let me go back to it. But it's MSNBC, and this is the report they did.
Just in the past few days, Democrats have kind of organically settled on a new attack line against Donald Trump and JD Vance. Basically, these guys are just plain weird.
You know there's something wrong with people when they talk about freedom, freedom to be in your bedroom, freedom to be in your exam room, freedom to tell your kids what they can read. That stuff is weird. They come across weird. They seem obsessed with this.
We're using this fake living room to talk to you about a super weird idea from JD Vance.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's quite weird.
But what was weird was him joking about racism today and then talking about Diet Mountain Dew. Who drinks Diet Mountain Dew?
On the other side, they're just weird. I mean, they really are.
Some of what he and his running mate are saying, well, it's just plain weird.
Just in the past few days, Democrats have kind of organically settled on a new attack line against Donald Trump and JD Vance. Basically, these guys are just plain weird.
You
Oh yeah,
know
so
there's
it's
something
it's,
wrong with
it's
people
repeating
when they
itself.
talk
But
about
anyway,
freedom to be in your bedroom, freedom to be
what it was saying was that this was a devastating new line of attack, and I'm like, how do you know that? It might be. I'm not saying it's not, but you don't know yet. But it's just a way to kind of want to speak it into reality because back in the days before the internet, when there was only 3 or 4 networks and everybody watched the same news, the news used to be able to do that. The news used to be able to literally create reality. It can't anymore. There's way too many sources of news, and people are way too skeptical of the news. Like Walter Cronkite was considered the most trusted man in America, like by liberals and conservatives. No one is like that now. Like half the people who watch MSNBC watch it ironically to bash it on YouTube or Twitter. Like everybody has their own podcast, their own network. So it's like it doesn't really work anymore. But they don't want to believe it doesn't work because the whole reason they became um media people was for that perk. So it's kind of it's motivated reasoning. It's very questioning for them to have to admit to themselves. Yeah, someone said this did a daily montage unironically. So I'm like, your only proof that it's working is being on Twitter, laughing at it working with your friends. And some people said, oh, it's working because the people on Twitter, like Vivek Ramaswamy and whatever, are getting annoyed. And that's more internet logic. Like internet logic is like social media, like this kind of trolling meme logic is if you get annoyed, you lose. Even though everyone gets annoyed. Everyone just pretends that they're not annoyed and that the other person's annoyed. Even the other person is, not annoyed. And my side's annoyance is somehow not the losing kind of annoyance. It's like the righteous thing. So like when you argue people online, it's one thing that's get me the most annoyed about online is people they start talking to them and they start introducing the idea you're mad. Right? So you say something, someone will come into your mentions and be like, well, that's blah 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 blah. And then you fight back because, oh, so why are you mad? And it's like, wait, you came into my mentions, but then what's supposed to happen then is the two of you supposed to both put laughing faces and be like, ha ha ha, laughing emoji. I'm not mad, but you seem mad. Ha ha. And both of you like two mad idiots to everybody looking on. But you both have to play this game of we're just gonna competitively pretend not to be mad while calling the other person mad, whatever. So, but in the real world, to a lot of people, getting mad is a normal thing and the right thing to do. And to me, to a lot of people just respond to every topic with weird, weird, you're weird. That's weird. People are annoying. Like people are annoyed because that's fucking annoying. like sometimes people get annoyed not because you're winning or owning or trolling. Sometimes people get annoyed because you're fucking annoying. Like that's the thing. Like we live in this world now where somehow whenever another person gets annoyed, that's a them problem. Like, someone will just bring up, wow, it looks like I'm living rent free in your mind. And it's like, that might be because that person is an oversensitive, you know, obsessed weirdo, or maybe you live rent free in their mind because you're really that fucking annoying. Like, there's no automatic answer that, living rent free. Like, sometimes living rent free in someone else's mind is an indictment on you. Sometimes it's a sign you're really a douchebag. Like, you know, like, I'm sure the Ku Klux Klan lived rent free in the mind of black people all the time. Like, a lot of people live rent free in other people's minds for a host of reasons. It's not, but that's like the kind of autistic online logic that people had. It's very rigid type of script. So I'm like, look, I'm not even involved in all this, and I find the weird thing annoying. Like, I want to rant about it, and it's not even aimed at me or my base. So to me, like, Ramaswamy getting upset about it, I think that's kind of normal what he said, to be honest. I'm reading. Did y'all see Atlantic Critique of Resistance Historians? Oh no, I didn't see it. I'll check it out. That might be a good thing to react to. Let me guess. It made them like glowing freedom fighters or something. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna do a podcast about it, uh, in more depth with more examples and stuff. But yeah, like I said, in the future is gonna be a reaction channel. I'm trying to take this more seriously as a streaming thing, so I gotta make a schedule for it. But I even taught myself OBS and all the serious streaming software. We got like an actual setup and everything. And yeah, it's just gonna be basically a reaction channel. We're gonna change the comments to a certain degree, like from what I've seen other people do. But we'll see if you like it. But yeah, I want to know what people think. I kind of know what people think because yeah, I've never seen um look at Beasis and Miro. They gave those guys a show and they were killing Twitter. That's so many followers, and the ratings were not great. And not blaming or dissing them or whatever. It just is what it is. Like, memes don't translate to anything. They couldn't get Snakes on a Plane over. They couldn't get um Lovecraft Country over. They couldn't get uh like Succession was uh I believe successful show. It is a critically acclaimed show. But if you had to go by Twitter, it would have been like had millions and millions. But what actually gets the ratings? Things like Yellowstone gets like 14 million viewers. I don't think I've seen anybody tweet it. Bob Loves Abishola is like the number one show on TV. Nobody memes about that crap. Like, they all smoke Succession. Like, it isn't. I mean, you name it, man. It doesn't matter. It doesn't convert. Like, history has shown us that for like decades now. Virality just gets you virality. Like, people just do the virality because they don't want to be left out. They want to conform. Everybody thinks they're a comedian now. Um, yeah. So, like, what I was saying about the Neil Postman thing and entertaining ourselves to death, man. It's not just about entertaining. It's just got to be jokes. You got to get your takeoff. You gotta. Um, for a while, jokes and takes were neck and neck in being the language of the internet, but at some point, I think takes just became corny because at the end of the day, they were too earnest. Like, doing long threads now just looks corny to people on Twitter. It's just got to be shorter, dumber, pithier, uh, jokier. You know? Yeah, I mean, like, they even say have memes now on Twitter. Like, I ain't reading all that, and that's supposed to be a devastating answer. Like, you take pride in the fact that you're not gonna read more than a few lines. And people when they say that look stupid, but they're playing to a crowd of stupid people, so it's the best thing to say. Yeah, so we'll talk about this more. I'm not gonna go too long since we're gonna be on more frequently. I'll announce a schedule, but yeah, basically it's gonna be a reaction. So what you can do is you have clips you want us to react to or talk about, just go to Champagne Sharks at emails at champagnesharks@gmail.com. Oh, I thought I had oh, the email's here. Basically, ignore the PayPal part. But yeah, champagnesharks at gmail.com. And we're gonna start doing something that it seems to be that how you're supposed to do these streams based on looking, but basically whenever you donate a super chat, we will read your comment. So that's a feature we're gonna start having too. Is within reason. Like if it's too stupid, we're not going to put it in the screen. But yeah. And what else? Yeah, just patreon.com/champagne sharks. Subscribe over there. And that's it. Everybody. I mean, looking for specific content. You know what? If you think it's interesting, give it a shot. Yeah, just just give it a shot. I already get slightly too much content than too little. Like don't overthink it. If you watch the show, you watch the streams, you kind of know our sensibilities by this point. So no, not back on Twitter, but because this this election is so being kind of ran on Twitter, it's kind of unavoidable to have to pay attention to Twitter. So it's like I have to make a burner account so I can read the things that people send me because Elon made it so that you can't read it. But I mean, the one thing that I would notice, right, is when people do send me this stuff, I get sent a lot of stuff in the Discord and on WhatsApp. A lot of people send me tweets about like the election, and it seems like there's no moderators there anymore to a degree because everything, all the replies, like everyone's talking about how many races are on Twitter or X now, and I guess I mean they always came and went under the old Twitter too. So I'm not gonna pretend that Elon invented white supremacists being on Twitter. In fact, I think it's probably still better than it was at its worst pre-Elon. But it's full of OnlyFans and escorts and sex workers soliciting clients. Like they'll respond to like any viral tweet. Like the tweet will be like, "Hey, coconut tree Twitter is celebrating Kamala," and if it has like a certain amount of followers, then the replies start becoming, "Speaking of coconuts, what do you think about these? I want to jump on your tree." And it's like every Bible thing is just full of people spamming it with their nudes. And I just kind of want to know, like, what percentage of the population is on OnlyFans now? Because I feel like it's got to be a lot. I don't know. Yeah, new breakdancing is a sport. All right, y'all. Everybody have a good night, and we'll talk soon.